hit the record button.
Oh, good. We can warm up.
We
remember our warm up.
That's right.
Was going to just be a combo.
We can warm up before before we start. That is good coffee. I have to tell you. We pride ourselves here at the DanaBuckler Show studios on providing our guests the best coffee possible.
That barista out there, she's something special.
She's pretty good.
Oh, yeah,
pretty good. Speaking of which. Speaking of pretty good, she had never seen Curb Your Enthusiasm before.
None of them.
So we started from the beginning. We're into season 6 right now.
Wow.
And
how long did that take?
Well, there's...
How many episodes?
There's 10 episodes.
Oh.
There's 10 episodes a season. Okay. So we've watched more than 50 episodes. And it's one of those rare shows that just gets better each season. Yeah. Did you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
But it's been a long time. Yeah, I got... It was one of those shows that had like a life on its own.
Yeah.
And then you hear just through word of mouth, like, oh my God, this show's hilarious. So then you try to like go find it because it was on HBO before streaming. So then I started searching it out after probably too late, and then watched like a season or two. And what's that guy's name? The guy, his boy, the guy that lives there. That's not
Leon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Leon,
he's the best.
The first time Leon appears on screen, I kind of looked at her and I said, "Pay attention to him." Because he is going to be a mainstay on the show moving forward. Yeah, and I don't know if they planned that. I mean, he just took off. He just took off. Yeah. Do you know the story behind Curb Your Enthusiasm? That it's an improvised show
of the whole thing.
So what happens is, well, no. When I say improvised, I mean that what Larry David does is he writes a basic outline of what the episode needs to have. These are the points of, this is the story of this episode.
Sure.
And then each scene, he tells the actors, all right, this is what we need to accomplish in this scene. Go for it. There's no script.
Wow.
So they improvise everything, but they just make it a point to make sure we hit these beats. And so when you watch it through the eyes of knowing that these guys are improvising all of their dialogue, it's that much more brilliant.
Wow, it is brilliant.
It's incredible what they do.
That is, oh man.
And there's another season coming out.
Really?
It's not done.
Why stop?
Listen, my favorite episode, I mean, it's hard to say my favorite episode, but the episode where he wants to get out of a lunch with a producer friend of his, and they're in LA, so super liberal. Right. So he decides just to wear a MAGA hat to to the lunch.
I'm sure it didn't backfire.
No, it didn't.
There's no way.
No.
So do you remember the character in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Super Dave?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Super Dave was a show on HBO, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was another stupid comedy my dad used to love.
It was the best.
Wasn't he like a terrible superhero or something?
No, he was a stuntman. So the running joke of the Super Dave Osborne show was he did it so serious, too. So he would talk about these big, elaborate stunts, and he always had his partner, this little Japanese guy who was always his assistant who would help. But the joke was at the end of every episode, the stunt would go terribly wrong.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
He'd get hurt.
He'd get hurt, but it was always like a dummy in the whatever the stunt was.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
That was like 80s, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then was that a spin-off of the show Bizarre? Have you ever seen Bizarre?
It
from HBO?
It was a segment inside of Bizarre. Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and then he got his own show after that.
We're talking like early mid 80s, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there was language and nudity on that show.
That was a big deal back then.
My dad just let me watch that I was probably 10. I appreciate that.
Bizarre was a really interesting show because it was on in Canada.
Oh,
I remember
it in
Canada. Yeah, but Canada had a little bit loose. It was on regular television in Canada.
Oh, so
Canada has a little bit more looser guidelines as far as what can be shown on regular television.
Okay.
So language in regular television shows, even in the 80s, was something that we were rather used to. This is when we moved to the United States. It shapes you, though.
When you're younger, you're watching that. Like nowadays, forget about it. But when you're younger and you have a show that's showing a little bit of nudity and some rude comedy, that shapes you.
I like to say that in America, teenagers had Beverly Hills 90210, and in Canada, we had a show called Degrassi High or Degrassi Junior High, which was a drama about kids in high school, and they dealt with serious issues.
Right.
And there was language and all kinds of stuff going on in that show.
It just gives you, it molds you a little bit more when you're younger.
Absolutely. Hey, Bill, welcome to the DanaBuckler Show.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, yeah, listen, I just realized we didn't do the introduction. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DanaBuckler Show. So we are recording on a Monday. Last night, Jesse and I went to Orlando. We went and saw the comedian Earthquake, who came on our radar when we saw Dave Chappelle at Madison Square Garden. He was one of the guys that was a surprise opening act for Chappelle. And when I saw that he was playing in Orlando, I told Jesse, we got to go. We got to go. And I don't know how often you go to stand up, but the Orlando Improv probably seats about 150, maybe 200 people. It's like the classic comedy club. It's all tables,
Small little tables, tight.
With little tables that seat 4 people, and there's,
cool.
cocktail service, drink minimums, things like that.
Yep.
Great sound system in there. Had a really good setup.
How was he?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's interesting. We always kind of fall into these interesting scenarios of, he was doing 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, and he was supposed to do 2 shows on Sunday. The shows were at 7 and 9 each night. Well, I'm not sure what happened, but they ended up canceling the 9 o'clock show on Sunday.
Okay.
So we were going to the 7 o'clock show.
Oh, perfect.
So, but when you're going to the first show, there is time constraints. All right. So show starts at 7. There's an opening act, opening comedian. His name was Mr. Bishop. Really funny guy. So he would do a 30-minute set, and then Earthquake would come on and typically do an hour, and then they'd have about a half an hour to reset the room. Everyone's out by 8:30, reset the room for the next show. But because they ended up canceling the 9 o'clock show, Earthquake could just go a lot longer. So he did like an hour 40. All right. I'm sure he was trying out some new material and stuff like that.
Cool.
It was. By the time the show was over, I was like, okay, thank God this is over. I can't laugh anymore.
Yeah, like your stomach hurts, you got a headache because you've just been laughing straight.
Physically exhausted.
Nice.
So we...
why is his name Earthquake?
He's a big guy.
Yeah, all right,
He's a big guy. But what was cool about it, and this happened to us when we were in New York. We went to the Gotham Comedy Club, and when you go to one of these places, when you're just a party of 2, they're going to seat you at a table with another couple. And when we were in New York at the Gotham Comedy Club, we met this awesome couple who were visiting from Trinidad. And we ended up just having a great time hanging out with them. And then last night, we met this couple that was in line. And we ended up sitting with them and ended up going out to dinner with them afterwards.
Really?
Yeah. So hello to Douglas and Shirley.
Nice. Hi, Doug. Hey, Shirley.
Great meeting. And what was cool about it was like, so this is a comedy club, and Earthquake is a raunchy comedian. And Shirley's 72 and Douglas is 78. And they're like, no, we're here for the stand-up.
Nice.
We're here to laugh.
I love it.
So it was awesome. It
cool.
was a great evening.
Oh, and did you guys go out to eat or go out, see a little nightlife or anything?
Yeah, so it was the end of the holiday weekend. So Orlando on a Sunday night, the end of the holiday weekend.
That's true.
Kind of quiet. And the thing is, it rained all day yesterday in Orlando too. So
Same here.
But because it was a Sunday at the end of the holiday weekend, got a great deal on a hotel room.
Beautiful. Got
a suite at the Marriott for like $100. Nice. Like it was something. Right. It was something crazy. Perfect. Like that. So cool. No, we went to this British pub. Point Orlando.
Yeah.
So that's where
that's right.
That's where the improv.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where the improv is. And they got all the different restaurants and everything there. So we had a couple old fashions at Point Orlando.
The pub or whatever.
The pub. The pub.
Got it.
Which I just feel
big chain.
It's a big chain.
Yeah.
It was not lost on me that this was like a corporate restaurant. It's like an Outback Steakhouse for British English pubs.
Right. Yep.
And I was just looking around, like, it looks so good in here, but I'm like, it also feels so manufactured.
Yes.
We went to the Blue Ridge Mountains a couple weeks ago, and we were in downtown Blue Ridge. And forgive me for not remembering the name of the Irish pub, but there was an Irish pub in Blue Ridge that opened in 1867.
Wow!
And when you walked in that place,
it felt
that
like a
felt
pub.
authentic. And the guy operating the place was from Dublin. So
how was that? Blue Ridge is beautiful.
I'd never been to the Blue Ridge Mountains
in the
before.
fall. I'm sure the leaves have already changed. It's got to be beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was. The weather was, I think, a high of 60 during the day, into the high 30s at night. the cabin we got an Airbnb, and even like the Airbnb, like they tell you, like your standard front wheel drive car is not going to make it to this cabin. Like, you better make sure that...
Man, you guys have been doing a lot lately, man.
Well, Jesse's got the big Ford Sport F-150 with four-wheel drive, and you better believe...
sitting out there right now.
Yeah, we needed every bit of that four-wheel drive to get to the mountain, to the cabin.
Can you imagine snow or ice trying to get away, right? What do? You just...
I'll let you know when we go in February.
All right, good luck.
So...
Get some snow tires.
And it's peaceful up there.
Yeah.
It's the elevation of our cabin was 2,000 feet, and then we went to Murphy, North Carolina.
I know the area well. Yeah, I grew up as a kid going up there every summer.
Yeah,
I know Murphy.
There was a casino there.
My first drive-in movie theater ever was in Murphy.
Murphy just is so, speaking of authenticity, it feels so authentic.
It's just in the middle of the mountains. We're like right at the beginning where the mountains really start getting good.
Like the Smoky Mountains start to
Smoky Mountains.
It's just, I mean, that is
pretty.
Look, I love living in Florida.
Sure.
But
I know you can't compare
Florida. Like, if you're a beach guy, like, Florida's the place to be. Like, there's amazing beaches. But other than that, like, there was something about being up in God's country.
It's pretty.
It was just, I'm making fires out in the fire pit. I'm having coffee on the patio in the morning, and deer are just walking by looking at me.
That's great.
There was bears out there. I mean, it's just...
Let's move. I'm out.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I'm telling you. So, but I'll tell you something, Bill. The year is almost over. All right?
It goes fast. What happened?
And do you know how many times I've been to the theater this year?
Not a lot. I might even be there more than you.
3 times.
Oh, I got you.
3 times.
Wow.
And
you used to go like once a week, maybe twice a week.
1996 to about 2015, I was going to the movies 3 times a week, every week, without fail.
That's amazing.
I was seeing more than 150 movies a year in the theater. My Regal Crown Club points were off the charts.
Yeah.
And then I just got really disillusioned with, what was in the movie theater.
Right.
So I haven't seen a lot of stuff. I'm just not.
It like times change. Things are changing.
It's so bizarre for me. Dang. So, but I'm curious.
Yes.
You're on the show. We always like to talk about what we've been watching. So, what do you got? What have you been keeping an eye on?
Well, I'll say this. So, speaking of that kind of topic, I haven't gone to the movies lately. The ones that I do go to, usually it's because my 7-year-old, we're trying to just sneak away and see some new kids movie. So the probably last one in the theater was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The
Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah. That was.
I've heard that's an entertaining movie.
It was great. No, it was great. We had a blast.
Okay, let me just stop right there for a second, because you just invoked a memory.
That's why I love our show. We just talk, and I say one thing, and then here we go.
I was 12 years old when the first Ninja Turtle movie came out in 1990.
That's how long? 90?
So that was 33 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was a big, big deal to see that one as a 12-year-old.
I remember being a little bit kind of like you weren't sure, because they were kind of like you weren't sure if they were funny or racy or if it was like trouble or...
Well, if you watch that movie now, it is shockingly violent for a kid's movie.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Like, they really dumbed it down for the sequel that came out the next year, The Secret of the Ooze. But I'm telling you, that first movie, shockingly violent for a kid's movie.
Ninjas.
They are ninjas.
Supposed to be fighting.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't just a little kid's toy.
No.
It's kind of like a teenage, that's the market they were going after.
Yeah.
And it's still around. Look, I mean...
They're still making it.
Yeah. So, no, we enjoyed it. It was a great movie. I recommend it. But a lot of the stuff that I have on this list, so on my way over here, I was just kind of jotting down stuff of what I've watched recently, but it's all been at home. Streaming is unbelievable. The service that I follow has every movie and TV show available, plus all the other services, Netflix, Apple TV. So speaking of Apple TV, I know you're not a big fan of these crazy action shows, but they're redoing or like extending in prequel, all mixed together, Godzilla.
So
yeah, there you go. You already know where I'm going with that.
So you're talking about the show, I believe it's called Monarch.
Yes.
So I did watch I shouldn't say I watched. I skimmed through the first episode.
Okay.
Just to see.
Well, it's a lot of flashbacks. So
a lot
it's
of
hard
flashbacks.
to skim.
I know. I'm like,
it's hard to skim that.
I just wanted to see how much of the, the 2014 Godzilla movie was notably absent of something. And that was Godzilla.
Right.
He's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So I was just kind of curious with this first show. This first show is supposed to really hook you. Okay.
In this TV series?
Yeah. So how much Godzilla am I going to see?
No.
Not much.
No.
Not a lot.
So it passed the time because I was at home and I hadn't felt well the last few, thanks.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not blaming the holiday on it, but anyway.
I mean, you for wearing a mask right now, you're still pretty audible.
You're safe. You're safe. I just kind of like shows that are half entertaining and like pass the time, and I can just lay there and just kind of watch. So like I'm not looking for like super crazy entertainment action. So that's not it. But it shows the back history of the kids.
Yeah.
So and it goes all the way back to the beginning of almost before Godzilla. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, you got to sit there and watch. You can't just skim this.
Interesting that it's on Apple TV.
I know. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
who is it? Is it Kurt Russell? Kurt Russell pops in on episode 2.
That's because he's going to be in the new Godzilla movie that's getting ready to
so
come
they're tying
out.
him into this. So he's in it. So they kind of show the two scientists that are the grandparents of maybe the kid from, the movie. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. But to me, I was still entertained. I was excited for episode 3 just showed up.
Okay.
So I'm watching it. So it's called Monarch, or what did I write down? Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. So it's just trying to show the beginning of Godzilla, I think.
That's that expanded universe that they're trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
So I will say real quick, there's so much content out there that, unbeknownst to me, and how this flew under my radar, I don't know. But there's a new season of Fargo that just dropped.
I heard.
And I think there's 3 episodes out right now. And I'm just like, how did I even miss that?
There's so much content.
Because Fargo has been such a great show.
You love that TV series,
show.
right? I know. I'm writing that down. I saw like a maybe a commercial or something about it. Like, they're trying to promote it right now.
Yeah, what is going on there? So
there's too much.
And it's a bubble, right? The whole thing is going to collapse on itself because they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on each one of these shows.
Yeah.
All right. And they're not making their money back. It's all about trying to get subscribers to subscribe.
Like Paramount Plus, or they're all fighting right now.
Are you aware that there was a Halo TV show on Paramount Plus that they spent like $150 million on?
I watched 2 episodes, turned it off.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. And I played Halo 20-something years ago.
They must have spent you could tell they spent a lot of money on it, but it wasn't very good.
No, but it was what you know what? When I was watching, I was like, I'd just rather play the game.
Wow.
Yeah. I just put the game on.
And that's not what's supposed to happen.
No,
you're supposed to be a gamer that's going, I'm so excited to watch what they do with this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the rare instant where they got that right was The Last of Us television show.
Because they changed it a little.
Yeah, but I'm watching this. I'm like, I don't even want to play the game. I just want to watch this.
Yeah.
So that's an example of them getting it right.
Yep. Heard.
So what else you got on your list?
So here's a bad one. Haunted Mansion.
Oof.
Sorry, kids. That's a no.
That's a no.
Just bad to me, the non-movie expert, bad writing, just cheesy. I've watched the end of it going, there's 5% of this that's cool because it gave homage to the actual ride.
Yeah.
The rest, they could have done so much more with that. That was such a miss.
Didn't they just make a Haunted Mansion movie with Eddie Murphy a few years ago?
I don't know. You got me.
I don't know. I don't know.
And they spent a lot of money on this. The budget, you could tell. That's another one you could tell they spent a lot of money making.
I have no idea what Disney's doing these days.
Terrible writing.
I have no idea. The MCU is floundering right now.
I'm gonna just go through this list.
Keep going.
I love kind of murder mystery type stuff. Because my movie Clue, man. You know what? Next year, I promise you, my birthday dinner and a movie is going to be Clue. And we're going to write letters to everyone and sneak them, and everyone's got to come in costume. I can't wait for that. But this movie reminds me of Clue, and it also reminds me of another one that I'll bring up later. But Invitation to Murder.
An Invitation to Murder. I've heard of it.
It was almost just like Clue.
Okay.
It was one where everyone got a letter inviting them to this like fancy mansion on an island, and
sounds just like Glass Onion too.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah. 6 random people that didn't know how they were connected, and then there was a murder. It was almost just like the movie Clue. Okay. Well written, well done, but to me, in my mind, I'm thinking Clue. Where some people, if you had never seen any of the Clue movie, you would. I think it was good. It was good.
All right, I'll put that on the recommend list.
I like that. Invitation to Murder is pretty good. The Creator's brand new. That just launched.
So
where's that? What's up with that one?
So speaking of Godzilla, The Creator is directed by Gareth Edwards, who directed the 2014 Godzilla movie.
Didn't know we were going to connect that, but of course you got it.
So, and he also directed Rogue One, the Star Wars movie.
Okay.
But the thing is, I haven't seen The Creator yet, but what the movie is being praised for is its visuals and how stunning the movie looks on less than $100 million budget.
Awesome. Would not take that away.
Which I have to.
That's impressive.
I've been meaning to watch the movie. I just haven't had time.
It was because there's so much content.
Yeah.
I literally clicked on it just because it was one of the new ones that popped on my service. Had no idea it was supposed to be really good. I was just looking for a stupid action movie. It's excellent.
Yeah, no.
But if I knew all of this, I probably would have watched it a little bit more detail. But that's the problem. There's so much content. How would you know that a movie this good, it gets washed away, it gets watered down because there's so much garbage out there.
What's sad is
really good.
We make the general public out there, and especially people who, like myself, who are constantly bitching about, no original ideas in Hollywood right now. Everything is just recycled and reused. And here along comes The Creator, an original movie.
Yes.
With an original premise, and nobody saw the movie in the
watching
theater.
It? How did
it was in the theater for like 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and nobody saw it.
That's a shame. I mean, I enjoyed it, but that's a shame.
I don't know how movie theaters survive. I really don't.
Kids' birthday parties?
I mean, I just don't see how it's going to happen because
I like going, but
now even Marvel movies are flopping. Like Miss Marvel or the Marvels, whatever it's called. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the last 7 Marvel movies.
I know you. I know.
But
even the trailer looks bad. Aquaman, that trailer looks bad.
Those movies look awful.
Terrible.
They look awful. And I know thousands of people work on them, and I get all that and everything, but damn,
yes.
But the Marvels, all right?
Yes.
The newest Marvel movie, okay? Just to tell you how much things have changed, okay? This is the sequel to Captain Marvel, which came out in, I think, early 2019 or late 2018. It was the movie that came out between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. It was Captain Marvel. That movie made $1 billion.
Yeah, but it was pretty good.
$1 billion.
I don't mind that one.
Okay.
That's the girl, right? She's
okay.
She's good.
Brie Larson.
Yeah, she's great. I like her.
So just to put things in perspective, okay? 4 years later.
Only 4. That's not a long time.
The sequel will probably not make $200 million in its entire theatrical run globally.
It's so bad.
Because they're so convoluted. They're so dare I say, and I'm not a Marvel guy. I make no bones about that.
I think that's pretty clear on the record.
But dare I say, Endgame is probably 40 minutes longer than it needed to be, was a decent movie. I saw that in the theater, and I was engaged and entertained during the movie.
Right.
And that movie was over, and that's when you take a break. Take a break.
Yeah, big pause, right?
Take a big pause because all that happened was
excited for
after Endgame, they introduced 12 television series on Disney Plus that you had to watch. They're all connected. Lots of movies, and it just got to the point where, look, if you want to go see the Marvels, the new Marvels, and you're told for it to make sense, you need to have seen this show on Disney Plus, this one, you needed to watch that movie, you need to see the end credit sequence on that film, and then it'll all make sense, then you've fucked up.
Yeah.
Because look at those first 10 Marvel movies that came out, all right? Those movies had beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
All right? They were loosely in the same universe, but a casual moviegoer could have gone and seen any one of those movies and been satisfied. The hardcore Marvel fans could have gone and seen those movies and been like, oh, I see all the little Easter eggs and everything. But the problem is with the Marvel movies now is it just doesn't make any sense unless you're completely up to date. And that's where they're fucking up.
They lost their way.
They lost their way. So did you see the Marvels? So have you seen it? Is it on your list?
Well, no, it's not, because the trailer to me looks so forced of this whatever message they're trying to get across that I can't watch it.
Yeah.
It's not, there's no real superheroes there. I don't know. It's just weak. No. Creator. I watched all the 3 Equalizers.
Can I tell you something?
Holy crap.
Still haven't seen them. I haven't seen any of them. And you know what?
I want to do a whole episode of Denzel Washington because of these.
There's no excuse for me. I've heard they're great. I've heard they're R-rated.
What a character! Oh, they're R-rated. And you know what I thought of? I'm like, I like this better than John Wick.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't compare them. I mean, except that they're action movies and he's a tough guy. These are excellent.
Yeah, I again, this falls into that. I have no excuse.
Right.
I should have seen the movies by now.
So I watched the third one because it must be new because it's
it came out this year.
Oh, it did, right? Because my streaming service.
Yeah.
Thank you. Without naming the streaming service, I love you very much. Thank you.
I may or may not have the same streaming service.
Yes, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a great streaming service, and it's not pirating. Everyone, we pay. Not, right? We pay for it.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I had to go back and watch 1 and 2, and you know what? I had seen 1 and 2.
Okay.
I just kind of had forgot that I had watched them. So I've already had seen all of them.
Yeah, I haven't
rewatched them all. Still awesome. Great action, tough guy movie. Highly, highly recommend. If you haven't seen The Equalizers, go watch all of them. And I want to do a whole show on Denzel.
Done.
Denzel's such a good actor. I think he's underappreciated.
Well,
I mean, he
might be now, but with the younger generation.
Yeah,
but
they wouldn't even know.
But our generation, we know
he's
Denzel.
Loved. I know.
We know Denzel.
I agree. Denzel's a man.
His greatest role ever for me is as
the pilot one or
Alonzo in Training Day.
Training Day. Yeah,
I mean, he won Academy Award Best Actor for that.
He's so good.
That's a great movie. I mean, he's great in everything.
I go all the way back to Pelican Brief.
Is there a bad Denzel Washington movie out there?
No, not that
nothing.
He's picked his roles. He's excellent.
You can look at every major, A-list movie star, and you can usually say, there's a couple duds, here and there. Uh-huh. I don't think you can say that about Denzel.
No.
I mean, he's American treasure.
He is awesome. Love Denzel. I watched Oppenheimer.
Okay, let's talk about Oppenheimer for a moment because I did see it in the theater.
Oh, you did?
I saw it in the theater. That's one of the 3 movies I saw in the theater this year. And what went wrong for me when I saw it in the theater was I had set my expectations for a different type of movie.
Okay.
And because Christopher Nolan is his thing is big spectacle.
Sure.
But his big spectacle is usually done practically. Like, so if he can do the stunts in real life, he'll do them in real life instead of using CGI. Mm-hmm. And so like in Tenet, they crash a whole 747 into an airport hangar, and that's all.
I got to watch that again.
And that was all done for real. So I'm expecting a big summer spectacle movie, and that is not what the movie is.
This is almost like a documentary.
It is 3 hours long, and it's 2 hours and 55 minutes of men just talking in rooms.
Yeah.
That's what it is. There is the scene where they do the Trinity test, where they test the atomic bomb, and that explosion was done for real. No CGI used to make that explosion. They detonated like 18,000 sticks of dynamite or something to recreate that explosion. And I remember I checked my watch 10 times in the theater. Like, come on, how much longer than this? I say all this because I couldn't stop thinking about the movie days after I saw it.
Sure.
And now when it became available to stream and video on demand, understanding what type of movie it was, I sat down and watched it again.
Now what?
And this
good. It's great, right?
Great movie.
Acting. And...
I mean, just a compelling story. But
yes.
But it was, and that happened to me with Quentin Tarantino. The first time I saw The Hateful Eight, I was like, I don't know about this. That wasn't. Now it's amongst my favorite Quentin Tarantino films. So I'm not good at setting the proper expectations for a movie. So what did you think?
Here's a couple things. First, let's set the stage. I watched. That was just like really rude. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
I was parched.
I know. I'm ready for coffee again. But
yeah. Well, we'll finish Oppenheimer. We'll get another coffee.
I'm just joking. All right. So I watched it in two settings.
Yeah.
So that's the luck of being at home.
Right.
Watching
you can hit pause.
Pause. I mean, like literally days apart. Right. So I watched one. Life gets in the way, and you're like, oh, all right, I'll just come back to this. So that helped probably.
Yeah.
Two, my sound system at home isn't amazing, but I spent like $3,000 on like speakers and a system, and so I had to turn it down. My walls were shaking.
I saw it in IMAX.
I can't imagine that.
I get it. I get it.
I can't imagine that.
It was
I had to turn down my system in my house.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was afraid I was going to like something. Just the kind of the Chris Nolan visual stuff that was going on where, he was kind of thinking that. That whole stuff.
And things are just shaking around him.
That's cool, right? Whatever all that, I'm sure there's a name for all that stuff. That really, so anyway, the movie really tied me in. It got me, I was into the whole movie. I was into him and his character. Overall, great movie, great acting. I liked it a lot, but I thought it was all about this bomb thing.
Yeah.
And that to me was nothing. That had nothing to do with it. If you're waiting for this giant scene of something blowing up and everyone's going to like face is going to like that had nothing to do with it.
Well, Nolan faced a little bit of criticism from some prominent Hollywood directors who said, if you were really going to do this story justice, you needed to have a scene of these bombs being dropped in Japan. You needed to show the actual repercussions of what happened. And Nolan said, no, I don't, because my movie was about the man who created the bomb.
Yeah, it's about him. Oppenheimer, it's about him.
Yeah, it's in the title.
Yeah, it's about him. And I appreciate that because that's why I said kind of documentary. I learned about him. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And his connection to Einstein and...
Yes,
that was cool. No, it was cool. People's expectations are ridiculous. Great, the acting's amazing.
I will say one more thing about Oppenheimer is that one of those rare situations where I didn't know what the movie was rated. I just naturally assumed it was rated PG-13.
Yeah.
So, because most Nolan movies are rated PG-13, and you're releasing it in the summer, you want to get to the biggest audience possible. So, there's a sex scene in the movie relatively early on in the film.
Yes.
And I'm saying to myself, they're really pushing the boundaries of PG-13 rated movies right now. And I was like, And then Matt Damon's character, he plays General Leslie Groves.
He was great.
He's dropping F-bombs all the time.
Right.
And I'm going,
this is not PG-13.
Really getting away with, is it because it's a period piece they're getting away with it? It still didn't clue into me that this movie was rated R.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, eventually I figured it out because you got a limitation on how many times you can say the F word in a PG-13 rated movie.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny that you say that.
Yeah.
Because I just started watching Rexic or whatever.
Welcome to Rexic.
Welcome to Rexic.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds kind of reference, you only get like 2 F-bombs and a titty or something.
Yeah.
And it's R.
So when I got out of the movie and got into my car, I just pulled it up. I was like, oh, it's rated R.
There you go.
And the thing is this. That movie was made for, I think, a little under $100 million, and it made $950 million worldwide, and that is an R-rated movie.
That's
like,
dude. He's killing it. That's awesome.
And keep in mind, when you have a 3-hour movie, you can't show it that many times during the day. So he was already like up against a wall
Yeah.
Because you can only show this movie like 3 or 4 times, where a normal movie you can show 5 or 6 times. So if this film had been, you know, a 2-hour movie, it probably would have made $1.5 billion.
Wow.
So it's incredible. All right, what's next on the list?
Hey, Dana.
Hello.
Man, that coffee is fantastic.
We did take a quick coffee break.
I'll tell you what, coffee at Dana's house always tastes better.
That's pretty good. That's the kind of stuff we offer at the DanaBuckler Show studios.
Yeah, that barista again. Tell you what, she's a keeper.
She's a looker.
She is, man. That robe almost slipped off. Haunting in Venice, another murder mystery. I had texted you after I watched this one.
So Haunting in Venice
about that guy.
is it's the third movie in the Kenneth Branagh directed Agatha Christie movies stories.
Murder.
So there's Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and now A Haunting in Venice.
Yes.
I actually haven't seen any of them.
There's another trilogy of you haven't seen.
No, I know. Not because I didn't want to, but who has time?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Yeah. This one just fell in my lap again, streaming at home. Thank you, service. And I love the actor. I love the lead actor, right?
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh. Yeah.
He's one of those kind of Sherlock Holmes kind of guys that figures everything out.
Also the director.
He is. You said that. That is awesome.
Also the director.
And you told me he was in something else that's out right now.
He's been in a bunch of things. I mean, he's Kenneth
But
Branagh.
I just saw him, and he didn't have his fancy mustache on. I was like, whoa, buddy.
So what's interesting, we talk about the content overload. There's so much stuff. It's amazing how, because we live in, a hurricane-prone area, and it's amazing how, if we lose power for a couple days and we have nothing to watch,
right?
And you have to read a book or
read
something.
A book.
Yeah. And you sit there and go, I swear to God, if I ever get my internet back, I'll never take for granted having all these streaming services. And then when you're back up and running a couple hours later, like, God, I don't even know what to watch.
Here's a funny story.
I don't even know what to watch.
Here's a funny one. So we just moved, and we're like 2 months in now at this new house. And the neighborhood has a fiber optic cable that comes into the houses if you pick instead of cable.
Right.
And the fiber that comes in, it's under the ground, right? They've got it buried, and then if there's a new house that they add it, because not every neighborhood or every house has to use this fiber, right? So it's buried wherever. So anyway, this house that I bought had it, but the owner ahead of me, he paid for the fiber to be added to the house, but he never buried it once it came out of the ground and into the house. It's just been laying.
Oh, geez.
There's a box in the fiber just laying in the backyard going into the house. So I've had a lot of work done. I've had trees cut down. So my tree guy cut the fiber. So we're sitting in the house.
Oh, no.
And all my TVs, everything is streaming.
And by the way, with fiber optic, it's instantaneous, right? There's no buffering of it.
It's
any
so
kind,
sad.
Right?
You're like, oh my goodness, gone. Just stop.
But I'm saying it never had an issue when it was working.
Oh, it's amazing.
It was instant. Everything was right away. No loading times, nothing.
95%, yes. The only thing that spins is our service, like on live TV sometimes, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is awesome. And tree guy cuts, boom, everything. So I have 6 TVs in the house, all with Amazon Fire Sticks, all streaming. I don't have any TV or phone. Anything is all streaming. Nothing hardwired in my house, right? So gone. Okay, so that's like a nightmare, right? And then the fiber guy fixes it. Literally the next week, tree guy's back again.
No.
Done again.
No.
Fiber gone again.
At what point do you have a conversation with the tree guy?
Immediately, both times.
And
I want to kill him, but he's a giant human being of a man, and there's only so much I could do. But he felt horrible, obviously. But literally, your life shuts down now because if you're at home and you want to watch whatever, we're a huge sports and movies house.
Yeah.
You can't watch anything unless my phone service. I can watch the streaming I can see on my phone, right? So anyway, I go right to the phone. But anyway, I had sod. So then just recently I had a bunch of trees cleared in the front yard and then resodded the whole front yard. So I got a whole brand new yard.
All right.
Well, they did sod work in the backyard too. Guess what?
No.
Boom. Still fiber again. Even with flag, it's all flagged. I went and talked to the guy. Ripped up again. So anyway, it's finally buried. So we're good to go.
All right.
Yeah, we're streaming like, lightning right now. We're good. But anyway, just been a nightmare. But it's just amazing how much is just literally streaming. Nothing hardwired. Thank God. But it's good. We're good to go. So anyway, Indiana Jones. Wow.
Really?
Speaking of fiber being cut, I wish the fiber was cut during me watching Indiana Jones.
Did you get through the whole thing?
No, I went back 3 times just praying that it was bad. That's bad.
Couldn't get past the
What
opening.
a letdown.
I mean, I was just...
Why, Dana, why?
So
Explain to me, Dana.
Well...
I'm just the novice guy. I always bring this up. But
new Indiana Jones movie falls into the category of who is this? What are we making this for?
You tell me.
Again,
a letdown.
Because we live in a world where studios. Okay.
Should I have not brought this up? I'm sorry, Dana.
Time for some movie economics 101.
Okay.
Movie economics 101. All right. So here's how this breaks down. All right. It used to be that studios would make 3 types of movies. Okay, they would make the low budget film, which was made for between $5 to $10 million, and those were typically horror movies. Those are made on the cheap, and horror movies usually made some pretty decent money. $80-90 million in the case of movies like Saw or Paranormal Activity.
Sure.
So those were money makers. Then you'd have your mid-budget films, which were made somewhere in that area between $30 and $60 million. And those movies would hopefully make about $120 million. There's some profit there. And then you had your big budget, $200 million movies.
Uh-huh.
So it used to be that movies had 2 streams of income. Okay? You would put a movie out in the theater.
Yes.
This is in the 90s and in the early 2000s. You'd put a movie out in the theater, and it would make money, but then it would hit the DVD market. All right?
DVD? What about Blockbuster, Dana?
Or the home video market.
Right,
however you want to.
Yeah, home video.
Movies had a second life after theatrical. So even a mid-budget movie would, if it didn't make all of its money back in the theatrical run,
right,
it would make its money back and then some through DVDs.
Or like you've said in the past, a whole nother life.
Yeah, exactly. So DVD sales.
Might even do better at home.
In a lot of cases it did. Look at movies like Austin Powers, Office Space. These are all movies that did not do well at the theater but made a couple $100 million in home video.
Got it.
Unfortunately now, there is no home video. There is no DVD sales.
That makes
Studios
me sad.
made so much money off DVDs because it would cost them pennies to manufacture that disc, because they would manufacture them in bulk, and they would sell them at $20, which most people would do an impulse buy. I've heard of that movie. It's $20. Let me buy that real quick.
Right.
That is gone. So studios have now said, we have to make as much money as possible. So we are going to take out the mid-budget film. That is going to go away. We're still going to do our cheap horror movies. Blumhouse does those. The Purge, all of those movies are made for cheap. And then we're going to make the big blockbuster films, because the big blockbuster films, on a $200 million budget can make $800 million to a billion. But there's a lot of risk with the $200 million film.
Because that might not make the...
All right. So the studio says, well, how do we guarantee people go see this film? We guarantee it by offering them something that they're familiar with. And that is how we've got into this 20-year cycle of nothing but sequels, prequels, remakes, reboots, whatever you want to call it, because they're safe. It's a safe bet, allegedly. So that's why you get your Indiana Jones movies. That's why you get the, Scream 7. That's why you get these movies, because they need people. They need people to go to the theater based on. I know this product.
What about Paw Patrol Mighty Pups, Dana?
But I say all this, Bill, because that model of what's familiar is collapsing as well. Because this Indiana Jones movie fucking bombed at the box office. Well, it bombed.
Yeah, it was bad.
The Marvel movies are bombing. Everything is bombing because people are over it.
Yeah.
And so we're in a really weird transition place right now.
So how far until we get to, in your point of view, till we get to the end, the other side, when maybe it gets better or something changes? Like how far? Is that 10 years? Is 5 years? Is it 2 years?
This everything is cyclical. Like it all happens. Yeah. This by the way, this whole, comic book movies and all this
That's
stuff.
Got to be almost done.
That is coming to an end.
Yeah.
That is coming to an end. But back in the 50s and 60s, it was all westerns and musicals. Those were what that's what Hollywood, those are the money makers.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to make. And then around 68, the new Hollywood era comes in. This is when the young filmmakers, movies like The Graduate, Easy Rider, The French Connection, like a new wave of cinema came out. And people were like, oh, this is great. We need to go watch this, and killed the musical and killed the Western.
Right.
So, what's going to kill the comic book movies? I don't know.
We'll see. Right, we'll see.
Those mid-budget movies, by the way, still get made, but they're made specifically for streaming.
Yeah, they go right to Netflix.
They go right, yeah.
Speaking of Netflix, just watched another Sandler movie. Speaking of somebody probably making money, is Adam Sandler. His new show Leo is a little like cartoon.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's great. It's so easy. How much? I'm sure that didn't cost hardly anything.
I had nothing but the utmost respect for Adam Sandler. He got a multi-$100 million deal with Netflix to produce movies with his friends.
Yeah, his friends. Yeah. So this one, if you watch the credits on this one, one of the Seagulls from probably the old Saturday Night Live days, like half his family and half of Sandler's family are in the credits. Like more his the kids, everyone's. That's awesome though. How cool is that? I mean, I've seen more Siegel and Sandler names in the credits.
But you know what? Good for him.
It is for real. And the movie's funny. It's good. It has a little lesson.
And make no mistake, like he knows exactly what he's doing.
He's doing awesome.
And he's made that money.
Yeah.
So
anyway, there's an example.
But unfortunately, this is the world we live in now. That and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but
I know. Sorry to throw us that way.
I don't see how this gets fixed. I don't see a scenario how this gets fixed. I don't see how we get back to.
Well, people are gonna. You can only lose money so much, right? So the dust will settle, and there's only going to be 3 big players or 2 big. It's going to have to stop soon. People can't just lose money.
Well, that's the thing, because if you think about it, what's been keeping movie theaters alive over the past few years? It's been these big budget blockbuster films, and now people aren't going to watch them. And they're not putting in the mid-budget films. Horror movies are still going into the theater because they're made for cheap and they make money.
Well, the theaters have to be creative and do other stuff while that aren't movies.
I know, but the thing is, if you look at AMC for a moment, they got whatever. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they've got, I don't know how many
100 theaters, 200 theaters. Or
whatever. I mean, you got to figure there's an AMC almost in every big city. So let's just say for argument's sake, they have 1,000 theater chains in America. Okay. Typically, where are those AMC theaters? Malls, things like that. Okay.
What? Yeah.
They don't own those building, properties.
Right,
They lease everything. Okay. So I mean, they don't own the land. You can't
like McDonald's, for example. They own that. They're like one of the biggest landowners in the United States.
You can't repurpose movie theaters.
No.
You like that Regal by where in town? That Regal, that thing is on life support right now.
It has.
And when it goes, they're going to have to demo the whole building. You can't repurpose that. A 16-screen multiplex.
That's sad, though.
I mean,
that's sad.
Just watch.
Yeah.
Watch over the next year.
Well, how many theaters?
How many theaters start closing?
So does that bring back the little ones? Like the little Ocala 6 they used to go to.
Yeah.
They could survive. I mean, it's just, it's maybe less money to maintain. Or
I mean,
I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going to go. All right. Speaking of, let's go to like a couple TV shows, and then, we could just see where it takes us. So I watched Lioness, Gen V, Ashoka, and Welcome to Wrexham.
Okay. All right. So let's start with Gen V, which I have not seen yet, but that is a spinoff of the show The Boys.
I think it's even more outrageous. I watched one show and I was like, this is...
I watched the first season of The Boys, And I said, this is clever as hell.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this is a damning indictment on not just corporate America.
Yes.
It's a damning indictment on Marvel, on this, on everything that they're doing wrong. Superhero.
Corporate America.
It is just, and I thought the show was brilliant. And I know it's based off of a graphic novel, so I know it's not an original IP, but at the same time, I was really into it. And there are some heavy scenes in that first season.
You shake your head watching some of this stuff.
Get into the second season, and I'm like, this is even more aggressive.
Yes.
The first episode of season 3, I'm like, I'm out.
Done.
I'm done.
I know.
I can't handle this anymore. It's too much.
Yes. So Gen V's the same. Too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's too much.
They've lost me.
Yeah. So that one is on my, I don't know if I'll ever get around to watching. It's probably made really well, and probably
it is. It's made well. But it's great.
But the boys lost me on it was sensory overload to the extreme. And I was just like, I can't handle this.
Lost their way. I mean, sorry.
Welcome to Wrexham.
Yes.
I watched the entire first season of Welcome to Wrexham.
Okay, I haven't got there yet.
I found it to be a really, really interesting show. Yes. And I say that as somebody who didn't know anything about soccer, or as they call it, football, over in Europe. Yes. And I found it to be a fascinating look at how sort of the levels. Yes. I thought that was really interesting.
I agree.
And how you as a team can go up and down on the level based on how you play.
Yes.
Like, could you imagine, like, the New York Knicks have a losing season, and all of a sudden they're a D League or a G League team all of a sudden? Like that changes the entire perspective on watching this. Like, they have to win every game.
But that's a great formula for getting the best teams in a league. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
I found the show fascinating.
I don't know if
I won't spoil how the first season ends.
I can't wait. I'm just getting going. But you learn a lot about maybe Ryan Reynolds, too, I'm sure, a little bit. You see a side of him. But I think it's just well done. And if you do like it, I don't think you have to like sports to like this show.
No, it's a character study, not only on Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. It's a character study on the town of Wrexham, in Wales, and it's a fascinating, it's a fascinating show. I thought it was really good,
and great timing off Ted Lasso. Because I love Ted Lasso. It's just great timing of and I don't think they planned any of that. Just coming off how good Ted Lasso is. But anyway, if you like Ted Lasso, I would watch this one.
So I was really impressed with that, and it's a great underdog story, and it's really interesting.
I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait.
So I started the second season. I've watched the first episode of the second season, and I'm when I get around to it. But it's a good show.
Well, I turned 50 next year, and we were rumored to go to Ireland and Scotland because I play golf, and my hometown's kind of Scottish, so. We had been rumored to go over there, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year, but maybe next. But now I want to go to this town. Yeah. Now I want to go to Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just curious. You didn't see Lioness?
No.
That's another Taylor.
Taylor Sheridan. Yeah. No, I haven't got around to it yet. No.
Kind of special ops. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Kind of one of those.
Done.
Excellent. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
And by the way, do you know how Taylor Sheridan does that? Real quick.
Oh.
So. Taylor Sheridan, of course,
he's on fire right now.
He wrote. I found it interesting to learn that this is how the model works. Okay, so he creates Yellowstone. All right, it's on the Paramount Network, which is basic cable. All right, massive hit. Comes out in 2018, becomes the #1 show in America. All right, forget the fact that it's on cable. It becomes the #1 show. Period.
Sure.
And the first few seasons are really entertaining. It's a modern day Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Is what the show is.
Sopranos in Wyoming or Montana or whatever.
Paramount signs Taylor Sheridan to a deal worth $300 or $400 million to just start creating shows. So he does the Mayor of Kingstown. He does Tulsa King. These Yellowstone.
The
spinoffs. The Lioness. He's got another one coming out.
Yeah, he has it now. It's already out.
So what I found interesting is he will come up with an idea for a show. He will write the first episode. He'll come in and probably direct the first episode, and then he just hands it off.
Oh, I want to be that guy.
He just hands it off, and then it just turnkey, and then the hires the people to run the show, and then he's on to his next one.
Great gig.
I mean,
great gig. But they're all been good, though.
Because I remember asking a friend of mine who works in the industry, I said, how does this man have any time in the world to be juggling this many shows? He goes, no, he starts it and then they hand it off. Oh, I was like, oh, that's fucking brilliant.
That's amazing.
Brilliant.
Oh, good for him.
So Linus, that I will put that.
It's another one. It's excellent, but it's quick. It's not long. It's like whatever, 7-8 episodes. Let's go all the way back to Star Wars. We haven't even talked about Star Wars, Dana. Ashoka. Dana, you get to. I know. I love it.
Give a shit. Could give a shit.
I know, man.
Like I like the sad thing is the first Star Wars comes out in 1977. It's 3 years till we get another Star Wars movie, 1980. Then another 3 years before we get the end of the Star Wars trilogy, Return of the Jedi. Then it's 16 years before we get another Star Wars movie in 1999. And then Lucas does another movie once every 3 years. Okay? Disney buys Lucasfilm for $4 billion, all right? Puts their first product out in 2015, which is The Force Awakens. And then for the next 4 years, there's a new Star Wars movie every year. Not once every 3 years, every year. Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Solo, and then Rise of Skywalker, all right? And then right after The Rise of Skywalker, then they start bombarding us with The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, the Obi-Wan show,
Yeah.
And now there's Ahsoka. And just like, what's sad about that is apparently the Andor show. Andor.
I love
apparently that's actually a really good show.
I love that one. It was excellent.
I could give a shit.
I know, you don't even care.
I had no desire to watch any of that.
That was so good. I know.
So the Ahsoka, I'm vaguely familiar with.
I think it was pretty good. I mean, she's trained. Whatever. Let's not get into that.
I mean, it's just, you know what? It's just, hey.
But Anakin, or whatever his
Anakin,
name, Anakin is her mentor, or whatever. Yeah.
All right, cool. Cool. And it's all about, remember this? Every time you watch one of those shows, remember this guy? Remember that person?
All right, let's wrap up with a couple, like, maybe coming soon that I'm excited to see.
All right, go.
Besides the Thanksgiving horror movie. Oh, my God. Speaking of that, that's a joke, right? That's not real.
It is real. It's real. My friend Jim Hemphill interviewed Eli Roth last week. Yeah, it's a real movie.
Oh, it is?
Based off of a joke trailer from 2007.
Okay, see? All right.
But it's a real movie, and apparently it's getting pretty solid reviews inside the horror movie community.
All right,
but
good.
The issue I have is Eli Roth his movies are so graphic and gory that it's just too much.
I don't want to watch it.
It's too much for me.
And then speaking of that, before I get to the last topic, is last year Silent Night, I think, came out. Awesome.
The real Die Hard Christmas movie?
Yes. Awesome.
Which answers the question, what if Die Hard was a real Christmas movie?
It is, and so is Lethal Weapon, by the way.
Yeah. No, listen, they're preaching to the choir.
I think Lethal Weapon's more Christmas than Die Hard almost.
Yeah.
The whole thing is Christmas.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, I fell in love with the Hunger Games as that's not my, I'm not the right age for that.
Yeah.
But I think I was transitioning companies and had like a ton of time on my hands and watched them all back to back. But this one, she's not in that, right?
No, it's a prequel set 60 years before the events.
Yeah, all right. So anyway, not super excited about that because I fell in love with her character. But Napoleon,
which is out now.
Yeah, I see it right here. I was looking to see like what maybe I'm excited to see.
So that movie is getting the most mixed reviews I've seen in a long time. People either love it or they don't like it at all. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground on this film. But I've heard, here's what I know.
Yeah, okay.
That it's brutally violent.
Really?
Which you'd expect from Ridley Scott, a Ridley Scott movie.
Scott, and it's
the same guy that directed, Black Hawk Down and Gladiator. It's going to be brutally violent. And that when it comes to, because it's an Apple TV Plus production.
Oh, it is. Oh,
so when it comes to Apple, it's actually a 4-hour movie that will be released on Apple, that they cut it down to like a 2.5-hour movie for the theaters.
That doesn't make okay.
So I'm going to wait till it comes on Apple and just Apple, and then just watch the way it was originally intended to be seen.
But that's the problem with movie theaters.
Yeah.
But does it pay to have an opinion that's in the middle? You have to be like way over the top.
I can be opinionated in the middle on so many movies.
Well, you can, but these people that scream and yell, good, bad, or whatever, it's horrible or it's the best. Like
I have very low requirements for a movie
nowadays.
Okay?
Like,
is it? Am I engaged? You know, am I engaged? And am I interested? Am I interested in seeing how this story ends? That's my criteria, and
right.
and there are so many movies that are quote unquote bad movies that I find incredibly engaging.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Trust me. Some of your list.
Yeah,
we should have one of our.
We need to do a bad.
Remember when we used to do our drafts?
Our drafts? Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, we'll set one up.
All right, Dana. You know what? Thanks for the phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked, but the call to come out and see the new studio here.
Yeah.
And your coffee barista.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate the hospitality.
Big thank you to the studio goes out to our Patreon supporters because all the money I made from Patreon I reinvested into this studio.
That's
so
awesome.
That goes to the people, including yourself, who helped support the show.
You got it, buddy.
So this was all this stuff I used the Patreon money to buy.
You know, if I don't talk to you, well, I know I'll see you. I can't wait for tomorrow.
Yeah. Dinner and a movie.
But if we don't record, happy holidays.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy New Year, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, man. So
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bill, thanks for doing the show, man. It's always a pleasure.
Can't wait to come back.
All right, guys. And my name is DanaBuckler, and thank you so much for listening.